Name Alphonso.
Hey, Alphonso.
I want to thank God for everything because He is everything. I want to thank this committee for asking a snot-nosed addict from Baltimore to come all the way down to Kansas City to share his experience, strengths, and hopes on this topic, trust in the process and not trust the process. I was studying and I was thinking about it. I was like, trust the process or trust in the process. My clean date is December the 17th, 1996. I've been here ever since. Man, I'm grateful. I'm 100% grateful, man. I'd have never. Let me throw out some rhetorical questions and then share my experience, strengths, and hopes on how I got here and how it all ties in to trusting in this process. The first one is, is my higher power trustworthy? Or is my God trustworthy? Or is your God trustworthy? And the second one is, how long does it take to make a car? And you're probably like, how does those two kind of rhetorical questions kind of relate? And I'm going to share how I got here on this cold January day in the middle of a great big snowstorm. And I'm a East Coast guy, so I'm used to it. But I'm in red territory. I'm in Chiefs territory. And I've been hearing it for the last 3 days. I flew down on Thursday, and I went to a great home group, and a great home group meeting, and y'all have this thing called Red Friday. Kind of remind me of Purple Friday from where I'm from. And I'm sitting here saying, man, of all places, why I gotta go to Kansas City? And you might be wondering, well, how does this East Coast snot-nosed kid from Baltimore City, how does he make his way to Kansas City, Missouri? And what I understand about this process is that as soon as you put a period on your higher power, or you kind of say, oh, I'm not going to do this, or I can't do that, or I can't see myself here, or I can't see myself there, you just blocked off all the blessings that come along with that thing. So 5 years ago, the entire globe had what you call a pandemic. It affected everybody. And in this pandemic, addicts had to find new ways to come up with going to a meeting. So this snot-nosed kid in the fruit of his sponsees and friends says, well, let's do, this Zoom platform because we can't meet, but we still need hope. So we started this meeting called The Journey Continues, and 5 years ago, 4.5 years ago, just for some local, a local family, just to try to help each other stay clean during this time of this pandemic. We didn't know how long it was going to be. We didn't know how the effects of it was going to be, but we just said we need to start a meeting. And we started this meeting, and what happened was this meeting began to grow from 6 members to 10 members to 10 members to 20 members, and before you know it was just Baltimore, and then it was Baltimore and DC, and then before you know it, it became 20 members and 30 members, and it was DC, and now Pennsylvania and Philly was coming in, and before you know it, you look up, then you got New York people coming in, and you got people from North Carolina and South Carolina, and we saying, man, and it became 1 year, and then 2 years, and then 3 years, and before you know it, we got some people from Kansas City on the meeting. So I'm here through my home group, which is The Journey Continues. We meet now Monday through Friday from 8 o'clock to 9:30 every day. But during the pandemic, we was meeting every single night. And we was going through the Journey Continues book, and it's a question and answer meeting we wanted to be in an environment that was a little bit more mature, because we had a lot of clean time. Clean time and having clean time is the only thing we celebrate. And I went to the meeting Thursday, and they played music while they giving out the key tags. I said, God damn, they are celebrating clean time. They had the music, celebrate good time, and I was like, God damn. So that's the most important thing in this program is clean time. But when you get a lot of clean time, your issues are different than when you were a newcomer. So we formed this group, and I met this wonderful guy named Kobe. And Kobe is from Kansas City, and we were sharing, and I think Steve introduced Kobe to the meeting, and there's another lady, Nada, and we had this Kansas City family. And in trusting the process, if someone would have told me 28 years ago, like, Fonzo, you'll be in Kansas City with 28 years sharing your experience, trips, and hopes, I couldn't even fathom the idea of that happening. So trusting in this process is allowing my higher power to do what it is he needs to do through my experience, strengths, and hopes, because he's going to put me in places where I may never dream of being at. So I'm here, thanks to my Kansas City family. Now, if I would have doubted the program, or doubted my higher power, or said, oh, I ain't getting on Zoom, or, I wouldn't be right here today. And I'm not here just to share my experience, dreams, and hopes, to try to get any accolades or glory, or just coming down here. I came down here because these people from Kansas City affected me. So you wonder how I got here. So I'm going to play my stake from the back and to how I got here, and then I'm going to go back to the addiction. So 5 years ago, when we started the meeting, we began to have a family. Now, my network has always been Baltimore and Baltimore only. But through the Zoom platform, my network, the broader the base, the higher the point of freedom, now my network is I ain't gonna say, well, it could be international, but it's now worldwide. I have people all over the country now that I bonded with through this meeting. It would have never happened if I was just going to regular meetings. So we built a bond on this home group, and December the 4th, 2023, my beautiful wife, that's 45 years old, I get a call, December the 4th, and I'm working. Thank God I have my own business, and thank God for, just the favor of God and just doing what I needed to do. And I'm working, and I get a call from my mother-in-law, because her mother-in-law stays with us. And she said, get here now. She like, get here right now. And, the man that I am, I want to question, like, you see I'm working, why I need to come here? She says, something's wrong with my wife, my daughter. Something's wrong. You need to get here now. The ambulance is on their way. And, I started like, man, I hope that, but, the doubt and because I don't want to have to stop what I'm doing. I'm that self-centered. I don't want to stop what I'm doing to find out. I hope it ain't just an allergic reaction. So I rush home, and as I pull up to the house, the ambulance is there, and I see my wife in the ambulance, and she looks kind of like out of it. And I hops out, and I said, like, what's wrong? And they said, she may have had a stroke. She's 45. She may have had a stroke. And I'm sitting there like, nah. Because the last time I pulled up to an ambulance like that was 7 years prior when my mother passed. So I dropped my help off. I said, I'll meet you at the hospital. I drop my help off. I drops him off. I runs to the hospital. And as I'm getting to the hospital, they're prepping her for emergency surgery. And I'm sitting there like, what's going on? They said, we don't have time to talk. We need to rush her in for emergency surgery. And I'm like, what's happening? They said she's bleeding in the brain and we need to get to her now. Like stat, like right now. So get out of our way, stop asking these questions because something happened in her head and we need to go now. Come to find out that my wife had an aneurysm that busted in her head and she was bleeding in her brain. 45 years old. How do you trust God when you can't trace him? How do you trust God when things ain't like it's not normal? Why do you trust God when you're in the valley of a situation that you have no clue on how to get out of it or even have a phantom of the situation and the vastness of it? You're talking about bleeding in the brain like something's like this is terminal. So it's a 4 hour, 3.5 hour, 2 hour surgery. So as now I'm in critical mode with her because now I gotta make some phone calls because I don't know what the hell to do. I need to call somebody that's gonna help me pray because this program talks about prayer as a part of that faith building thing that Katie was talking about. So I called my sponsor who I met on the Zoom meeting. And my sponsor, because he don't have experience with that, he didn't share his theories or his rationales or what I should do. He said, you have some members that's on the meeting that has those experiences. And he pointed me into the direction of a couple of ladies who had brain aneurysms. I'm talking about trusting the process when you even can't trace it and you just don't know how it's going to be. But I understand that now that because of that, my home group, I was able to reach out to these ladies and they say, we will pray for her, but she's going to be all right. You ever had somebody give you some hope when you was hopeless? Have you ever given somebody some encouragement when you at your bottom and you're defeated? Somebody just says it's going to be all right. Have you ever had no days clean and somebody said keep coming back? You're going to get that day. And what happened was I called these ladies and they began to reach out and they told me their experience, strength, and hope because that's all we got. And it gave me some encouragement. It gave me a little bit of hope. And in that process, we was able to start to develop a system of trying to get through this together. One thing about a process, and that's why I asked the question, is like, how long does it take to build a car? And I was meditating last night and praying last night. And I was like, God, a car? Like why a car? Because we drive these luxury vehicles and we drive them, but you don't understand all the stuff, the tools, and all the functions that goes along with making it. We don't question whether or not the steering wheel is right. The steering wheel is there for a reason. We don't question, oh man, these tires. We know it's gonna equip, and that's what this program is. We don't have to question this program. The literature says we don't have to understand it. We just gotta follow directions. Or why I gotta go to a meeting, or why I gotta get a sponsor. Don't do it, God. You don't have to. You just might have a jacked up car. You don't question like why I got 4 wheels, or why I got a steering wheel, or why I gotta have headlights. You don't question the process of having a car. We don't know where these cars are made. Some of we do know some of them are made here, some of them made there. We don't question who's the maker is. We just believe and trust that it's gonna get us to point A to point B. That's this program. We don't have to question whether or not you're sharing the right way or you're doing the right thing. You just gotta follow. You don't have to understand. You just gotta follow the directions. Oh man, I don't like that. Clean time on nigga recovery. We was talking about that today. The other day, clean time on. That's some bullshit. Clean time is the marker that we use to let you know that recovery is possible. You know how many days I have? It still blows my mind. I have about 10,000 days. And for me, it's miraculous. For you, it don't mean nothing. And it shouldn't mean nothing. But your clean time better mean something. Because in the literature it talks about that every clean day is a successful day. And we build days upon days uninterrupted. You know how hard it is to get consecutive days in a row after day after day after day after day after day through death, through aggravations, through all the stuff that we go through, and you still stay clean? You know how hard that is? Oh, you might not. Okay. The thing we have in common, the horrors of addiction. The horrors of addiction. I'm a very animated person. And we talk about, we was talking about some stories and people sharing their stories, and everybody has a wonderful story. Wonderful story. But we also have a horror story. Oh, the horrors of addiction. We were sharing about somebody shooting dope with their mother at 12 years old. The horrors of addiction. You ever see? I don't know where y'all. Well, we're in the Midwest. Y'all might do crystal meth and all that stuff. I don't know nothing about that shit. I got high. I got dopes and cokes. Heroin. I live in the capital. I live in the capital of dope. They made movies about where I live at. I live in the heartbeat of that. Kobe come to Baltimore 2 years ago. He said, let's go to the meet. He want to go to the heart. The central hub of the worst drug-infested neighborhood. And Kobe like, come on, let's go. I said, I ain't going there. We got a meeting in the heart of the horror of addiction. And Kobe like, come on, let's go. I'm like, hell no. I'm black and I'm scared. He white like, let's go. I'm like, shit, we're going over here. Because the horrors of addiction is the thing that binds us together, because every one of us has that horror story. Like being ill. Anybody else. You ever wake up sick and you ain't got no money, but you gotta get one more. No matter how bad it may seem, you gotta get one more, and you will do anything in your world to get one more. You'll steal from your mother. I'm an only child. I stole everything, but that wasn't nailed down in my mother's house. The horrors of addiction. Where we from, they give out these things called testers. That's like free dope. They give you free dope, which is the good stuff, so you can keep buying the dope. And so they'll line us up like it's a soup kitchen. And line your little, I'm gotta cuss on this because it was that dramatic. You better embrace your story. Line your motherfucking asses up, you dope fiend bitches. Line up. Come on, y'all, line up. Your bowels locking up, your back hurting, you crying, and you want one more, but you don't have no money. They giving out some free dope, and you gotta sit there, and you gotta, come on, y'all, line up. And they say, fuck y'all bitches, and throw them in the air. And you on there ground on your hands and knees and just searching for this pill that's gonna kill you, but you don't give a damn because you're caught up in the addiction of drug addiction, and you're caught up and you'll do anything. I'm in the back of an alley in the middle of East Baltimore on my hands and knees begging for one more, and I got two that day. Like I hit the lottery. Yes! I got two! I'm happy to kill myself. I don't know about any else's story. My horror story is traumatic. When you want to do, look, the literature says we lost the power to do anything about it. You ever say, I ain't doing that no more? This is my last time. I pray and I'm standing, I ain't doing it no more. And you find yourself doing it again. This time I'm gonna do it different. I'm gonna put some here, put some here, put some money here. Please hold this. If I ask you for it, don't give it back. I'm gonna give you this $20. That's for my rent. I paid my mother in vows. Y'all get that one later. My mother recovering addict, she died with 20 years clean. I used to pay my rent in vows. You ever pay your, whew. All right. Hold this, and whatever you do, I'm gonna come back and back for it. Don't give it to me. An hour later, I'm back. You know what I said? I need that. You said not to give you. I know what I said, but I need that. And I'll go to blows with you if you don't give me my goddamn money because I need to use. And I ain't just talking about anybody. I'm talking about my mother. Talk to her like that. Or my aunt, or anybody who will give me some money or hold my money knowing I was going to come back. So we get in this process and we begin to learn how to live a new way of life through this working the steps. When I got here in 96, the flat book, we call it the flat book, the working step guide was just in draft mode. I did my first round of steps through the Hazelton Step Working Guide, through the other fellowship. And in that book it says, if you could calculate how much money you think you might have spent on getting high, how much would you think it would be? Whew! I stopped at $500,000. Because I got high every day. All day, every day. If I wasn't getting high, I was finding ways and means to get high. And the only time I had a break is when I got locked up and I spent 90 days in jail. I had a, See, 'cause I was a good kid. Let me get to the jail story. Let me tell you how I got there. I was a great kid. I was a good kid, and I went to college right after high school. I was still smoking my weed. I was still getting high. I was still getting, heroin and coke. But I went to college because my mama said, go to college. Be something better. And I went to college. And the same thing I seen on the corner, I seen on the campus. And we were still smoking and drinking, and before you know it, I did 2 years of college, and I come home one day, and for some odd reason, I think I wanted my summer job to be a dope dealer. So on my way home from college, during the summer break, I decided I want to sell dope with the homies around the way because I still wanted to fit in because my insecurity still won't let me know that I was different because I was always different. I just didn't want to act different because I was in the environment that I came from. You can't show that you're smart. You can't show that you was different because they would talk different to you. They would talk bad about you. So I thought I come home and I try to sell dope, and what happened is I wound up in another institution. Called the correction institution. Correction, so that means you did something wrong, they need to correct you. And I got locked up. So I spent the next semester in jail. And I didn't know you went out for parole every third of your time. So I go for parole about a third of my time. I told the PO officer, I said, I'm going back to school. I went back to school. I made parole off for 3 years. They gave me 9 months. I made parole off the 9 months. I did 90 days. I was back home. People say, you ain't been no jail. There ain't no jail time. They put me through the system. I was on the bus, I was shackled, I was everywhere, but I only did 90 days. That's my jail story. You can't take it from me. That is a joke, y'all. So, I get out of jail. I don't have a clue. And trusting in this process, it talks about you're not gonna understand the end results. You're never gonna understand how this thing is gonna work. You just gotta understand that it works. It works. So I begin to work the steps. I begin to realize how powerless I was over my addiction. Because when they said, I said $500,000, and I had a choice, and my first sponsor said, you had a choice. You didn't have to use. You used because you chose to use. I said, for real? He said, you could have said no. I said, I could have. I started crying because I thought I had to because of the environment that I was in. I thought I was obligated to use because everybody around me was using. I thought it was a requirement, like you come from this part, you gotta use. That's why I'm so excited about my clean time, because I haven't used in 10,000 days. Nothing. I'm like clean. Like nothing. It blows my mind because I remembered it was just like it was yesterday that I couldn't even get a day clean. But this process allowed me to begin to build this spiritual foundation to allow me to believe in this higher power and have this relationship that I might not understand, I might can't trace it, I might can't figure it out. I just know I keep winning. Well, how do you know that, Alphonso? The literature says hard-won experiences. So every time I go through a situation and I get through it clean, I won. When I went through that first divorce, and then my first ex-wife, she was spinning around in a circle like the Tasmanian devil, and I was like, oh shit, she crazy. I won. Because I got through that clean. Even when I landed over central booking, which is, for those who don't know what central booking is, it's a jail that's, we all know shit, y'all addicts. Y'all been to central booking, it's just called different names and different clarifications. So even when I went through jail clean, I won because I didn't use. Even when I lost everything and I'm jobless, homeless, penniless, and I'm living back with 7 years clean, and I'm living back in my mother's house in that same small room, I was clean. The object of this process of recovery is to go through some shit, report back and like, guess what happened to me? I got my ass tore off. But I got it back. I didn't use. Because that's the process. That's trusting in this thing that's divinely made that you might not understand and you might not figure it out, but it's there. This shit work. It works. So every time I go through something, it works. So I don't want to share. I'm going to share two more things. I'm shut up. So my wife in the hospital, brain aneurysm. So she got a tube coming out of her brain. She got bags of blood. The horrors of life. Life be lifing. And so she's sitting in the hospital for 20 days. And me and my mother-in-law is there every day. Now my mother-in-law, that's her daughter, she's there all day. From the sun up to sundown. Visitation, she's there. I'm in and out because I still have to tend for the house, tend to a business, tend to everything else. Because life don't stop because you got a hangnail. Life don't stop because you're going through something. You still got to do what it is you got to do because life is still going to present itself. You just got to be able to maneuver while you're going through some stuff. So we're in the hospital for 20 days. And I don't know if anybody have any long-term care that's been in the hospital for a long time. It's taxing. It's taxing to be there every day, eating cafeteria food, day in and day out. And, not really showering, You're not no more home cooked meals. You know, you're just there every day because this program taught me about support. So when my wife wake up, she want to see some faces there. And you got to make sure you got the visitation people coming in and nobody's worrying and all that stuff. But what happens is, if you're in a long-term state like that and you're in the support of, and I learned this a year ago, it's costly. Because you got to spend money on food. So we eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner at the cafeteria. And my wife, she was, she was conscious. Thank God she was conscious. And I said, baby, we running out of money. She hit me with the program. She said, a closed mouth don't get fed. You sick. You got tubes coming out your house, and you gonna give me a shot of hope? How you gonna give me a shot of hope? A closed mouth don't get fed. So what did I do? I called my home group member. That same home group that got the Kansas City people down and all that stuff. I called one of the trusted service, and I said, I need help. I need some financial assistance because we're running out of money. And she said, we got you. I made one phone call. And my phone started binging, and I started getting these cash apps like bing, 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 and I'm looking at people sending me, now they're not just sending me $5. They're sending me $20 and $40 and $50 and $100 and $300. I'm saying, I didn't know that y'all help people like that. Because I'm never the one that got the help. I'm always the one that gives the help. But it was our turn, and then my home group helped us, sustain us through this whole 20 days, and I couldn't believe it. I'm an only child. You understand what I'm saying? Nobody reaches out to me. Nobody reached down and had their hand out to me and said, let's help you. They helped me. They helped us. That's why I'll fly down to Kansas City. If they tell me to jump over, I will do anything for my home group because I understand what they've done for us. And I was like, it was, and just for the day, I'm in the Living Clean talking about when you're getting blessings, you can't block the blesser. If somebody want to bless you, you better let them bless you because they got to get blessed too. There's two parts to this. You're a receiver and there's a giver. And I'm always the giver. I've never been the receiver. So when they reached out to me, I was like, wow, this program is amazing. They don't know me. They don't know me. We just know each other from the square. You talk about the love of the fellowship. You talk about trusting God when you can't trace him. You talk about believing in something that you don't understand. That's what the second set talk about. We believe in this process. We come to believe that it works. It's at the point now I know it works. So we got through it. It's been a year. Been a year since the aneurysm. Let me share this shit. I don't want to share it. I don't want to share it. I really don't want to share it. I want to share it. I don't want to share it. Told my higher power I want to share it. A process is what it says and what it is. You can't pick and choose the parts of the process that you want to deal with because of your insecurities or your immaturity. You gotta when you in a process, you gotta go through every single part of it. You can't skip steps. That's why the car, when you building a car, you can't stop and says, okay, I don't need this. You gotta go through every single step of the process. You can't pick and choose which steps you want to work and which ones you don't. You can't do that because then you'll be missing part of the understanding of the spiritual blessing that you get from the process. So it's been a year. My wife just had a brain aneurysm. We've only had sex 3 times in the 2024. 3 times. And then myself is to ask her. You know I'm over here. You know I ain't had nothing. I think the speaker last night was talking about that ooh-wee. That's my first. You know I ain't had no ooh-wee. Ooh. You know, and I'm one of those addicts. You know. My legs start shaking. I got that. Ooh. I start making animal noises. I'll start. Hey, I need that ooh-wee. And I ain't getting that, ooh, look, I ain't tell y'all the other story, y'all tune into next time. I ain't tell you that I was a whore, and I like to whore around, so I had a lot of sexual things, so I was catching it before I got married, I was catching it every day. I was like, ooh, we in all day, every day, because I was caught up in the addiction of sexual pleasure, because I was looking for love in all the wrong places. That's a whole nother story. But now I'm sitting here, and now I'm caught up and trusting this process because I can't force her to do something that she has no desire to do. Damn, how you gonna be a husband now, Alphonso? You can share being a husband when everything's good, but can you share a husband when you gotta be at the care of somebody else and they got the water that you need to feed your sexual pleasures and they don't wanna pleasure you, so now you gotta trust God even more. When you got that itch and you know how you got that itch and you got that desire, but you know you can't use. You know you can't use. I know what happens when I use. Whatever I use, I know the end results of me using. Jails, institutions, and death, I already know that. So if I cop anything, I'm in trouble. That ooh wee would turn into an oh no. And the guy that the men's rep said that. I know the consequences of my behavior. So can I still trust God on my physical when I'm not getting physically pleasure? Damn, that's some hard shit. I ain't never been through this before. I get what I want when I want it. That's how I am. That's how I roll. Man, can you trust God to not get what you want when you want it because of other people's, now you made a commitment. Now you got to do for better or worse. Shit, this wasn't in the contract. So trusting God is allowing me to begin to believe that I can trust God no matter in any kind of situation. And is it hard? Hell fucking yeah, it's hard. It's hard. But one day at a time, I understand I can get through anything. You know why? Because I've been through everything. I've been through some stuff here. And I don't know what's going to come down the pipe. What I know is just for the day I won't use. And I'm going to say this and shut up. At the end of the process, it says that the process has an ending, but you don't know what that ending is. Just for the day. There it is. The process is just for the day. This program is written so simply that you don't have to try to figure out the entire process. You just gotta use the program just for the day. You have a program just for the day. You would try to follow it to the best of your ability, just for the day. That's why we count days and not years. That's why we count days and not months. That's why we don't measure recovery by what team you root for or who your sponsor is. We don't do none of that. We just do it just for the day. Because the process is just for the day. We try to wake up clean and go to sleep clean. That's it, that's so. And what happens is in that process of just for a day, this thing called accumulation. When you begin to accumulate one day on top of another day, on top of another day, on top of another day, and before you know it, you know that little piece of metal that goes through the aisle that doesn't look like nothing but a piece of metal, and before you know it, it got wheels on it, and before you know it, it got windows on it, and before you know it, it got a tent, and before you know it, comes out the showroom floor, and it's a car, and it didn't look like a car when it first started, but now it's riding clean. And see, that's why and your car is your car, and how you design your car and how you make up yourself is who you is. I know one thing is I got all the tools I need to ride this recovery process to the end. Because it's a journey. But I understand in this journey, I can't go no further than just for the day. That's it. But I believe and trust in you guys. It was you guys that helped me through this program. They helped me when my mother died. She died clean with 20 years clean. They helped me when I lost everything. They helped me when I didn't know how to be a parent to my kids. They helped me when I was, jobless, clueless, homeless. You name it, I done it. They helped me through all that. They helped me through my first marriage. They helped me in my second marriage right now and shit. We was talking about the men's reps. We got married 3 times. I said, I hope I don't get married 3. I ain't got enough time to get married more time. But I told my wife, you gone, I'm getting married. So I'm trusting in this process because I know it works. It works. I have all the evidence and the proof that this program works because my life has changed. I don't wake up thinking about getting high. That's amazing. I've lost the desire to use drugs. You know, so I thank God for this committee for asking me. I thank God for Kobe, Steve, Shonda from Boston, Jamie from Arizona, Charles C from Philly, everybody. And that's the one thing about my home group. I got to shout them out. It's like wherever we go, we show up. And we Zoom, we on the platform, we show up. They was in New York. I was like, dang, they were in New York. I would have went to New York. We was in Baltimore. Wherever we go, we show up. We was in New Orleans together. We met on the platform. Because this program has given us enough ability to love each other because we have the one thing in common, that we're addicts. And my name is Alphonso. Thanks for allowing me to share.